What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 62 of Climbing the Ladder. I'm your host, ChanmanV, and today's show we've got the big question that we've been trying to answer for the last 2 or 3 weeks, which is Statdrive legit? And we've got the producer and eSports Commissioner on today to talk about that and answer any questions we have, which we've got a bunch, so that's unfortunate for you, Ken. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry in advance.
Right. Also, we'll be talking about Icy Cup because Ken's also involved. He's eSports Canada's president also. So we'll be talking about just how that event went. We'll also be welcoming the CEO of One Nation of Gamers, who was the man behind the whole eBay Charity.gg sponsorship and promotion that was announced a couple days ago. So we'll have him come on and explain it, because I think a lot of people don't understand what it is, including myself. I didn't really get the whole gist of it until he explained it to me. So and it's really cool. So I'm gonna have him come on a little bit later, and then we'll have you guys ask your questions. And if you have any questions and you can't call in, go ahead and post them in the Reddit thread or message them in stream chat, and we'll see if John Clark will actually make it to the show. As you can see, he's not here. I was really hoping to have 3 bald guys on the show, like legitimate bald guys, like not guys with just a little bit of stubble on their head, but like legitimate. But John's disappointing me today. But joining me today, as always, is Mr. Richard Lewis, who is a sweaty pig today apparently, but he can.
No shit, dude. I'm stuck in Valencia. For the people who didn't catch my show last night, I'm in Valencia at the moment for Valencia DreamHack. I got no idea why I'm out here this early. I'm in some fucking Formica hotel where everything. Yeah, well, they made all the furniture out of Formica, so I guess I'm sweaty. I'm like fucking slipping off stuff.
Easy to clean, man. Easy to clean.
They are gonna need it cleaning because I'm doing this show in my pants as well, which is kind of gross. But
oh my god,
let's take people behind the scenes, beyond the veil, into the reality of esports. It's like it's only 33, 34 degrees here, but for like a British guy, that's like outrageous. You know, that's like, especially in a flabby white skinhead. So yeah. But I'm gonna try and make it through. I think I got a touch of sunstroke, so if I start babbling or my eyes roll up into my head at any point, just like talk to Ken, okay?
Well, that's why you have the warm beer next to you, man, so that can kind of give you a little boost, little defibrillating boost.
That's been the best thing about being here so far is like I can't get vegetarian food for some reason. As I was telling you earlier, I asked for a vegetarian pizza.
You're not vegetarian, are you?
No, but I just don't want to eat meat when it might have donkey in it, right? You know, like that's true.
Shit.
No, this isn't even a rate. Don't make out that it's a stereotype. Boy. It's a scientific fact. It was in the papers. It's like Findus lasagnas, the frozen foods, having horse meat in them. I'm not, it's not a racial thing. It's just on occasion when you have a bit of salami, wink, wink, out in, Costa del Sol, there might be a bit of donkey in it, and I don't feel comfortable eating a donkey anyway. So I went into a pizza shop and I said, "Can you just make me a cheese and tomato pizza?" And he was looking at me like, "It's not possible," he said. He's not possible. I was like, no. That pizza you've just made there, with the meat on, I'll pay the same price, just leave the meat off. No, he's not possible. So I managed to get a 12-pack of San Miguel beer for €4, which is fucking amazing. So that's made up for it.
That is amazing. All right, before we get into another long story about Valencia, let's welcome our guest, Mr. Ken Silva, who again is the producer and eSports Commissioner of Statdrive, and he's also president and founder of eSports Canada. And for those of you who also don't know, he was also the former NESL Commissioner too. So Ken's has a pretty good track record, in terms of esports, and a lot of people behind the scenes know who Ken is. So I wanted to have him come on, bring him on the show, and talk about Statdrive. We've been talking offline about Statdrive and the fact that you were, I think at the time we were talking, you hadn't quite joined them, but you were really interested in it. And I think the fact that you and some other folks that I know are starting to work with Statdrive kind of made me want to look into it, maybe see if it's actually legit or not, because I'd be the first to admit that I kind of wrote them off right at the bat looking at those prize pools. But that's what we have you here on. We have you here on to clear some air and to have you answer some tough questions So hopefully that's going to be some good stuff. But how you doing, Ken?
I'm good, thanks. It's really humid out here, and my allergies are just going nuts, so I'll have to apologize in advance for that. But I'm happy to be on the show. Big thanks for having me on here and giving me a chance to try and clear up as much as I can. I'm really a big fan of what you guys do, and I think the way that people are starting to depend on you guys to get the word out to the community is great. So big shout out to you guys as well.
Awesome, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. But okay, so let's get started. Statdrive, we're just going to jump right into the meat of things, and we'll start off with just, I guess, what Statdrive is. I mean, Statdrive is a company that's wanting to, or is in esports at this moment. So, but at the time, they're like a few months ago, they were wanting to get into esports, wanting to do events, particularly online events that target the casual gamer more so than the professional scene. And I think the first foot forward that they made was a tournament for the FireFall community. Why don't you talk about that a little bit? Because a lot of controversy, and drama kind of stemmed from that, and that's kind of what started everything. That just people questioning Statdrive.
Yeah, definitely. That didn't go as planned. It kind of escalated quickly. That was before I actually started working with the guys here at Statdrive, and I know they had a lot of stuff going on at the time. So I can say that, since I started here, we look at that and look at it as a template, say this is how things went there, so we know that not to go that route. But as far as details, I mean, I'm happy to answer what I can, but it was definitely before I was contracted with them.
Okay, yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things I think that happened was, clear this up for me. I think Statdrive was working with R5 at the time, right? Red 5 to work this event that I think what is now the Take 5. I mean, it was structured like Take 5, right? I think that first place was $7,000, and there were a lot of mention about just how much money you had available. I think it was in the realm of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that caught people's eye, obviously, got people interested. And then just to make things short, yeah, but just to make things short, that event kind of fell through. Red 5 decided to do something else. I think they're doing stuff with ESL now. But a lot of the mayhem that kind of ensued afterwards happened like on the forums, on the FireFall forums, where Chris, who's y'all CEO, kind of was having conversations with the community about just what happened, and then a lot of talk came about just the legitimacy of Statdrive. Talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, I know you've seen the forum conversation.
Yeah,
so.
No, it's not something that I think we're all proud of here, but we all have rough days, and I think it was just a matter of the stars aligning at the right time. Personal issue that working really hard, not sleeping. I know Chris, he works nonstop, so it may have been just one of those days where bad mood, grumpy already, had an agenda set in his planner, and you're like, what, we're going to do it anyway, we're going to do it live, and could have gone much better.
One of the things that came up in that forum, and let me just, I don't hate to show people the forum, but just so that people have context, is the location, right? I mean, I think one of the I think it was Mojo CA, actually went to the building, he didn't take a picture, but he went to the building and he was pretty much questioning whether the building existed or not. So I just want to start off by saying you're actually at Statdrive right now, right?
Yeah, I'm calling live from the Statdrive offices, and what I was informed of with the whole Mojo situation is he came and went into the wrong section of the building, which is actually, in the process of being leased to somebody else. So I think that's where there was a miscommunication, and if he's out there watching or listening, I know he's pretty much local. I'd be happy to have him out and show him around the place and kind of clear up as much as possible.
And that door, guys, Ken's here to confirm that door actually exists. It's not a photoshopped sticker or Photoshop image on top of the door. The sticker is actually just not aligned properly, right?
It's chroma key behind me. It's really well done.
Oh, shit. Okay, good stuff. So at least we know, the building exists and all that stuff. But I mean, did y'all have the building when y'all announced the tournament, or was that just happening at once?
There's a lot going on here. I know we're getting ready to get all our broadcast stuff done. But we did have the building when it was announced. I mean, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't contracted at the time. But shortly after that, I came in here, and I had seen the posts coming into the situation here, and I was like, okay, I'm not sure what to expect. But the moment I saw the Photoshop door, I walked through it, and I saw this video, and I was like, okay, you know what, I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with this. And then I had a chance to speak with John and Chris, and they basically, gave me the whole spiel about what went wrong with that FireFall incident, and from there I think things are going to start improving.
Okay, great. Let's just go jump right into like the Take 5 event and really just all the prize pool and on all like jazz, because I think that's the thing that catches people's eye right off the bat, and it's also the thing that draws a lot of questions right off the bat. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, you can go to statdrive.net and click on events. I'm kind of going to take you guys there. We'll look at League of Legends, or we'll look at StarCraft first. It's fine. And if you look at it, you'll see that there's a 3v3 event, there's a 1v1 event, and there's only pricing for diamond, platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. And then you can look at these totals, and it's just like outrageous, right? At least outrageous for most people to think that a diamond player could win $11,000, which is more than what the WCS players make when they finish, I think, top 4, I believe. So explain to me this a little bit. I know there's a registration fee, this whole 150, but what happens if 4 teams sign up for the thing?
Well, I know I can say that this much, that this format moving forward is being completely revamped. So the Take 5 situation, after I had a nice talk with the guys over here, that we are all working hard on coming up with a different tournament format, and this is definitely going to change. But just to address the previous question, because I had the same thing as you, walking in here, I was like, I have a bunch of questions about this format, and I think from the sense of making it legitimate, they wanted to have players participate in a 15 to 19 week program, and they were saying that if you were to pay $10 per week for a tournament where you could win big money, then $150 going into it, maybe more affordable for the pros that really are coming out to win these things. And after a bunch of discussion on my experience in esports, they've agreed to allow me to present something a little different, and I'm currently working on that, and I think it's gonna be much better once we go with the 2.0 version that we'll be announcing soon.
Yeah, I mean, who's coming up with 3v3? 3v3. When's the last time we had a 3v3 tournament for anything? I mean, so for my first thoughts when I was looking at all this is that either it's a scam or there's just a lot of not very informed or intelligent people there. So, I mean, were these people that were coming up with the original structure involved with esports at all? Or, I mean, who were these people planning this tournament to begin with? Or this event to begin with?
There's a lot of hardworking people that, I've been introduced to since I've started here, and their intentions, legitimately, after speaking with them, I could say, are really good. They're genuine, benevolent. They want to make, an interesting tournament, and they want to put a big emphasis on fun and the amateur scene, and I understand that. But us, from looking at this sort of tournament structure, can immediately pinpoint a few major problems. And I think the idea behind the 3v3, where it was that you'd get a couple of pros that you say, there's not a whole lot of pressure on us to do this. Let's get in there, let's have fun, and let's try like a 666 pool or something like that. And it seems like it would be interesting, but I think in terms of like the competitive gaming aspect that we want to go for, it wouldn't necessarily get us to that goal.
I mean, is it $34,000 interesting? I mean, seriously, it's
yeah, you get a car for all of you. I think there's like a Kia model that all 3 of them buy, so it makes sense.
Okay, so the money, or Richard, jump in anytime, man. Anytime you want to. Like,
I got material. I'm just
just anytime you want, man.
All in. Well, yeah. Well, Look, I'd rather let Ken just kind of explain it all.
Okay,
Like,
sure.
Here's the prevailing vibe I've got, right? Like, and I know we're gonna get into it. So, right, I think a bunch of idiots got a little bit of money and thought esports would be a revenue stream, and that explains the very early kind of ridiculous tournament formats and some of the bullshit that's been thrown around on the internet, which don't ring true, and not even an experienced journalist like myself can verify when we're digging it and looking in all the familiar places where the information should be. And then they get a nice guy like Ken, and this is what a lot of these companies do. They pay for the credibility, and they're like, look, dude, we're never going to cut you off because you're going to be the guy who has to go out there and explain that shit like he's doing now. But you know, that doesn't make it any more legit. And I just think I know how this story ends because I've seen it a million times before. I've seen it with you know, in the UK we had something like this called UKESA. It always ends with people not getting paid. That's how it's gonna end, man. I mean, like, you know, I got no doubt about it. I bet the larger of my testicles on it with Statdrive, but
oh man, well, okay.
The larger one, which I'm very fucking fond of, but you know, because the other one is really freakishly small by comparison. So no, I think it's important that, like, you know, Ken says his piece, man. I don't want to rip on him as a person, but there's a million things that don't ring true, and once I get locked into it, I don't think anyone else will get a word in edgeways. So I'm just going to sit here, drink it all in, you know, have a good time.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and it's definitely, you know, a logical explanation from somebody standing on the outside looking in. I gotta say that I'm not a stupid guy by any means. I'm not a genius by any chance either, but I definitely I have a lot of business experience before esports. Before I was crazy enough to sacrifice actual money to get into this stuff. I was an asset manager, and I managed a lot of money, dealt with shareholder meetings, and I know the ins and outs of the business world, and definitely I had the same concerns as Richard going into this stuff. And believe me, when we go to announce tournaments and, you know, that sort of stuff moving forward, a big thing for us is, you know, the player treatment and the payouts, because it's been an issue in the past. So I'm currently, you know, talking with the guys here about coming out for a way that we can sort of secure the funds moving into the tournament, so that afterwards, you know, we can make sure that, you know, there's a payout policy, everything's met, and we got some pretty cool ideas, but like I said, it's nothing solid yet. But and every step of the way, you
see, what you're saying there, Ken, already suggests that the money isn't there to begin with. Now, what I would say is anyone who's running a tournament, right, first thing that's gonna fucking throw a spanner in the works at anything to do with esports, anything, is if the money isn't there. The amount of time I've seen, like, you know, the experience in Denmark, 2.5 years, people waiting for prize money because money that they were promised would be there from another party didn't manifest itself. And those players are sending emails every day, every week. And they, you know, and it's not fair to string anyone along for 2 years. Then you got like ESL taking money from sections of their online community, like the Counter-Strike source community, because they're small fry, right? They take money from them, and then they admit in emails to the Counter-Strike source players, we actually need that money to prop up IEM and paying for StarCraft players to attend events. And that's not fair. So, but that, and all this happens because the money's not there. For me, if there was a governing body in esports, which is completely fucking impractical to do, but let's say there was, the first thing that would be a requirement of that would be, if you're going to run a tournament, have the fucking money in escrow and be able to prove it. And that's before you can even open up signups, whether they be free or whether they be, you know, paid signups. So
how do you do that at this point, though? I mean,
well, people are managing, dude. That's the thing. And it's like, what the last thing esports needs is another bunch of people, no matter how well intentioned, coming in and promising big prize funds, but not having it in the bank, because when it comes down to the beg, borrow, and steal of having to get that money, what's going to happen is someone is going to let you down somewhere along the line, and ultimately that's going to reflect on you as a company. And maybe it's fair that it does, given the model, but ultimately it's going to impact on the players and the people that have bought in. And, you know, this is what happens in esports. It's like a hyperbolic curve of trust. We're down here and we know it's not right. But the more and more people talk, and then we meet nice guys like yourself, and you're all presentable, and you say the right things, and you got a pedigree in esports, and we start to believe, and we start coming up, and then we hit the peak, man. Well, look at the fucking money, and these guys wouldn't lie and ain't gonna bullshit, and look who they're partnered with, and look at the sponsors. And then eventually we hit that first delay, and then the yarn gets spun, and then before you know it, we're at an all-time low. Fuck those guys, no one's getting their money, and we won't get fooled again. And then we do get fooled again, and we get fooled again continuously in esports. Yeah, so I guess where this point is going is, what have Statdrive done to reassure you? If you're going to come on here and reassure us, what Statdrive done to reassure you? How could you convey that message if you yourself weren't, didn't have 100% faith in it?
Yeah. No, I totally, absolutely valid concerns, and I can understand a lot of people having the same ones as well. But at the same time, I don't think we can take the Nietzsche approach and be super pessimistic and expect the worst, and then, because that way nothing's ever going to happen. I came in here with the intention of, first reaching out to them and, finding out what was the reasoning behind the Take 5 tournament. And then after some discussions, it turns out that they were looking for somebody to hire, and I fit the bill, so I didn't, come in here not expecting that. I'm not going to lie. But I think what the problem is that there's been a lot of this stuff happening in esports, and I'm not going to name any company names just to, start getting the chat all worked up. But
I'll do that for you, bro.
All right, awesome. Yeah, if we look at it in the sense that we have a plan step by step moving forward, and given the current circumstances, I don't think that there's really any way that you can really move forward in this position without having some reassurance for the community that people are going to get paid out. And it's something here that I can tell you that we're trying to address. I mean, if you guys know of any ideas, I'm all ears. And it's definitely a big thing. And one of the big things that we're working on was a payout policy. We want to make sure that everybody gets paid as soon as possible. And definitely guaranteeing the funds is an issue. But once we announce our first thing, it's going to be included in there. We wouldn't go ahead and be like, oh yeah, after all this, we're having a $5 million tournament. Everybody sign up. It's definitely something that needs to be addressed.
Well, let's talk about then what the model actually is. Like, how does the system work? Because for me, if I was going to run a tournament, I'd have the money there, and then the payout policy is irrelevant. So I've got the money. It doesn't matter what I make you do for it, or how many. I can give it to you there and then at the event. So I've got it in my bank account. I can make you take a photo of you with a shoe on your head and make you send that in. I mean, the policy is irrelevant. I've got the money. It exists. It's real. That's verifiable. It's tangible. I can give it to you at any time once you've jumped through the hoops that I dictate. And no doubt when you signed into the tournament, those hoops are all in the small print. But if the money isn't there to begin with, and what you're saying is, we want to have a policy in place so we can get the money to the people, but first we have to get the money from these people, and that could take 28 days. So no. All of a sudden, this is where the problems fundamentally begin in esports, when you have to kind of rob Peter to pay Paul.
Well, I mean, there's a little catch to how this Take 5 event was designed, right? Which is the participants actually pay a admissions fee or a registration fee, right? And that was supposed to, I think, pay for at least a percentage. But there's no way in heck that pays for even 50% of it, in my opinion. So, again, it does lead back to, did the investors have the money to foot the bill for, I would say, at least 80% of it before they announced this event? What's the answer to that question?
Well, first I just wanted to touch upon what Richard was saying about
sure.
the payouts and all that sort of thing. It's no secret in the industry that there's a lot of payouts that don't go on immediately, and it's a big issue. And if we're talking about a large amount of money, and the tournament, let's say, is over, if I keep that money in a bank account for an extra month or an extra 2 months, I'm making income off of that. So it is something that you want to make sure that within 30 days people are starting to get their money, and it's all there, because the players definitely need to be respected, and that's a big part of what I believe in as well. I want to make sure that the players are treated properly. So that's the first part of it. The second part is I saw a lot of people throwing an escrow account But at that point, what's stopping someone from turning around and being like, oh, this document's been photoshopped just like the door or the chroma key background? So it's something that we want to make sure that is 100% addressed, and definitely at this point, transparency is a big part of it.
Okay, so kind of getting to my question about just the backing, just the investors, and just the money that you guys have. I mean, you have no revenue source right now. There's no sponsors anywhere to be seen. There's nothing like that. So where's it coming from? I mean, is it just coming from somebody's bank account, or are these just are these promises that or just things that you're hoping to get in terms of registration? And
there's a whole business model behind the company, definitely. I mean, nobody's just like, hey, we're gonna have a tournament just because why not, But getting into the details of it, I know that one of the things in the FireFall was that it was coming from some savings and whatnot, but there's a whole bunch of other angles that I'm not really at liberty to get into. But there's a whole plan in place, or else there wouldn't be an initiative to get this startup off and running.
Okay.
I mean, I guess what my follow-up question would be then is, Statdrive has claimed to have 53 employees. That's not volunteers. That's employees.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
okay. I've done some research. Well, I say I've done some research. Great article on Limelight Esports, real esports journalism. Absolutely commend it. Definitely beat them to the punch, but I don't think I could have done it any better. And me, I always like to toot my own horn. So the guy who wrote that definitely needs a big pat on the back. But they claim to have 53 employees, only a few of which have been verifiable.
I'll clear that up right now. I come into the office now, and there's 12 people here on a daily basis. There's about, I'd say, 16 to 17 people working remotely, and they are bringing people in, interviewing them via Skype every single day. So the goal, the target is 53, but as of right now, we got a bunch of people here who come in on a daily basis and aggressively hiring. So if anybody's out there with a resume and looking to get involved with this, there's definitely an opportunity if you think you have the right skill set.
I mean, 53 people. 53 people. That's a lot of burn, man. Right? I mean, so I also read in that article there's 30 to 60 volunteers, which that's something that we kind of come to expect in esports. Yeah. But 50 people, that's on top of the prize pool. That's a lot of money.
I'll put that in context. Like the company I work for, Heaven Media. I mean, they're considered pretty big players in UK esports, which I mean, globally, that might make a few people laugh. I don't know, but we host like the biggest tech expo in the game section of the biggest tech expo in the UK, which is the Gadget Show Live. That'll generally have footfall of somewhere like somewhere ridiculous, like I don't know, 150,000 people over the course of a week. We clear some pretty big income off that. We don't employ anywhere near 53 people. I mean, we couldn't. I don't even think we could dream of that or justify it, rather. I mean, I'm pretty sure my CEO, if he looked at it before we were employing 53 people, he'd find ways to combine some jobs. You know what I mean? He'd be looking at it going, yeah, you know what? Like, why are we paying that fat bald asshole just to write articles when he can do this as well, right? I'd get the phone call and that'd be it. So, there's a lot surrounding the kind of company, which, I mean, and again, I've got to be honest, I've seen this in esports a million times. When you present like these wild, almost grandiose numbers, everyone kind of thinks, well, fuck it, man, they must have some serious money. But I mean, at the moment, it's like, from what you're saying, and again, this is all due respect, you know what I mean? I'm never going to mince my words. It sounds a lot like some sort of pyramid fucking scheme, dude, where it's like you've got people who work, and then you can't be paying that many people a salary if there's no income there. You can't. So what do? Do they work to order? Is it if you can get a sponsor brought in, you get a cut of it? I mean, what exactly is the work in practice for those?
If you pay $500, then you can start your own team and then manage them directly. I'm joking.
I was gonna say, man, Ken, wow, that's yeah, he had me going there. Jeez.
I heard the Chris's fucking jaw. I was like,
no, it's a tough question. Like I really understand you guys' concerns. I really do, but there's a lot of good stuff in the work here, and you know, the moment anything smells fishy, believe me, I'll raise the first flag, and I will, you know, make sure that every step of the way that we are, you know, looking at each thing and make sure, is this something that's feasible? Is this something that's doable?
Yeah.
And I've been in this industry long enough where I can look at an organization and just be like, all right, I'll see the post on Reddit in like 3 months from now about what a massive failure this was. But the fact that I'm involved with it and that I get the chance to, you know, work and manage things from the inside gives me hope. And there's a lot of great people here on the team, and the people who are working off-site, they've been involved with CBL, which was Statdrive beforehand, and they've been working for a long time. These guys are really, you know, good people that have been working with it, and it reinforces, you know, the company background. If I came in here and, you know, it was a bunch of like people that looked like they walked in the street and they, you know, were like, oh, welcome to the team, I would be suspicious. I really would. But the fact that, you know, they got a lot of people in here that have some great ideas, it gives me more confidence to continue moving forward.
Yeah, and that's the main reason why I have even any questions about Statdrive, is because of, you know, your involvement in some of the other people that I know are good people. So you know, one of the things I wanted to talk about is just the website right now. Like, why is the event even still up here if it's going to change?
Yeah, I saw.
I mean,
put that in.
Oh, did he actually? I didn't even see that.
He
But
threw it in the chat. He's on top of everything.
oh, okay, yeah. I mean, even isn't the registration supposed to have ended already or something? I mean, this thing looks like it's still going to happen.
Yeah, there's been emails sent out to the people that have registered, saying that there will be some changes, and I know that we're working on making the new page for that, and it should come down. That's a good point, and I'll follow up with that afterwards.
Yeah.
Should be. I think that, you know, that, yeah, that's it there.
Yeah, this side, yeah.
There's people here. Everybody is, you know, working. We're all getting paid, so there's definitely, you know, no cause for concern at the moment. And like I said, the fact that these guys really want to grow the amateur scene is very attractive to and, you know, a lot of people working in here. And with the new tournament format, I think that is really going to be great. And definitely, you know, looking at the funds and making sure that it's there for everybody is a big part of what we do. That should be a nice, you know, sigh of relief for everybody once we get that confirmed, and, you know, we can move forward with our tournament. So I think the real answer is, you know, only time will tell. And, you know, the fact that I'm here and I'm going to say that if there's any problems at all, I'll come back on the show and, you know, I'll get with you guys. But right now there's a whole bunch of good people working here. Chris, you know, he's a really cool guy. He's been, you know, active for the community for some time, and he's got a passion for it. So I think that with a little bit of time, we'll sort of ease things down.
So with 53 people, so we've only been talking about the Take 5 event. That's like the only thing that we've been talking about. But with so many people involved, what other things are you guys planning on doing outside of just this online event?
Well, online to start, there's a bunch of different things that I've been hearing, but I haven't really dove into yet, because right now my focus is the new tournament format, and it's taken a lot of work because we want to make sure that it's something that's unique, something that's going to support the amateur scene. But definitely a major problem from before is, like, you know, you have in an amateur league, what's stopping anybody from getting on in a Smurf account and
yep.
just being like, easy money, here we go. And so it's coming up with fail-safe plans and making sure that, you know, it's a solid plan. Definitely after the first announcement, we want to make sure that the second one is, you know, really thought through. It's watertight. There's not going to be anything leaking through. And then from there, you know, I'm happy to dive into the other aspects.
Okay. It looks like you guys are supporting how many games right now? It looks like 1, 2. So StarCraft 2, League of Legends, and FireFall. Are y'all going to be sticking with just those three for now? Or are you going to be doing maybe a Dota 2 tournament or that sort of thing?
I'm going to have to say I'll leave room to speculate. But I can say that there will be some titles. We will maybe take a few out and maybe add a few more. But the tournament that we will be answering, it's going to be an esports package. We really want to make sure that all competitive gaming communities have an outlet to get involved and get active. So I mean, just to give you a hint, you know, the amount of staff required, it's going to have to be managing a lot of stuff. So we're almost done. It'll be very soon, and I hope that, you know, everybody can approach it with a neutral stance and, you know, really give it some thought here on in.
Okay, it looks like John's here, so let's take a quick break, and so I can pull on John. But we will continue the Statdrive talk. We'll be right back.